Okay, so let's look at dimensioning our first, our foundation, or our, what we might call our footer plan here. So I'm going to zoom in on this, try to get it aligned in the screen a little bit for us. I'm going to pull this line down because we're going to be wanting to make some dimensions in there. And these are a little close here. Let me highlight the, or activate the viewport now, and I'll just pull these up out of the way. Now, we're going to add a bunch of dimensions. Let's see if I can draw this, drag this onto the screen for you just for a second. We're going to add dimensions like this. I'm going to use this as the guide. You'll notice there are not a lot of dimensions, and one of the reasons is because everything else becomes kind of determined by the next thing. So once you determine one typical element, every other element is dimensioned the same way, and we avoid adding those dimensions if they are typical of other components that are similar. So we'll go through that, and you get the hang of it. So once again, this is just preparing you for doing work in construction tech. This isn't really intended to be a construction tech course. It's just to really tell you how to use the tool to do some of these techniques like dimensioning. So we'll go ahead. We're in that view now. We'll go to annotate. We'll grab the aligned dimensioning tool, and we'll just see how it works. So I'm going to slide in here, and you'll notice when I touch the wall, it's it could start a dimension there, and I could actually just go from one side of the wall to the center and pull up. But that is kind of a useless dimension. The center of the wall isn't really very useful to us, at least in the kind of example that we're drawing here. So I'm going to use the align tool again, but this time when I get to that wall, I'm going to use the tab key, and I just got to move my mouse over here a little bit until I can select that element. I'm going to come over here and hit the tab key until that one gets selected. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag it up and put that dimension there. And when I get it, I actually did an extra dimension. So let me just undo that again, and I'll redo that technique. Tab, excuse me, tab, pull it up, and click. And don't pull off another dimension. So that says 84 feet, which is correct. Now let's put a couple of more dimensions there again. Once we'll go back to annotate, we're going to go from the outside edge of the foundation wall to the center line where that piece of steel is placed. So I'm going to go and once again hit my tab key until I get that outside. I'm going to roll over here and touch this one. And now I'm just going to continue to roll across the surface, hitting a new one. I'll even, I won't go all the way to the end one because that one should just be left open. You should try to avoid dimensioning every one in a complete chain. The last one is just calculated as being 2 feet. And I'll drag that up so it's nice and close, and click on it to select it. So, sorry, it thinks I'm wanting to put in another dimension. There we go. So it takes a little bit of technique to get used to. This is a little confusing because of these lines here. I'm not sure how we'd handle that. I might actually, there's probably a couple ways to do this. One of them would be pull these grid lines down below. See, now we got the line going through them. Could be to eliminate those at all. Let's see if we can actually slide. No, I can't actually move that dimension offset. So that's fine for this example. Now let's get over to the side of the building here and try to pull the same kind of dimensions off of the building. Use the tab command, grab that outside wall, come all the way down, grab this outside wall, tab, pull off. Actually come down before I pull off, tab down to this one and click it, and then pull off and select it. So that leaves us pretty well set with the outside foundations in that direction. Let's go down here and do kind of the same thing in the horizontal direction. So we're going to go from tab this outside edge to tab that outside edge. Then I'm going to hit tab. I'm going to go over here and hit tab, and then go over here and hit tab, and then pull these dimensions off. Okay, so these all make sense for us because we know that The module is 20 feet, so that's good. We're going from that one identical corner with the same offset to this one. That's 20 feet. We know that these are 20 feet with a 2-foot offset on both sides, so that gives us 24. And we're losing those 2-foot offsets here, so it goes down to 16, so that 20-foot spacing. And then we're back to that 24-foot module over here. So a couple of more dimensions that would almost kind of complete the story of all of these, of the construction of this foundation. Let's do this side now. Grab the tool again. Roll over that wall, hit tab until I grab the outside. Come all the way down here, hit tab, and then pull that off. And we'll clean this up a little bit in a second here. And then once again, we don't know exactly what these grid line or what our grid lines are. So I'm going to select all 3 of these and pull those off. Oops. There we go. All right, so now we have those grid lines 20 foot in the vertical direction, 20 foot in the horizontal. The outside of foundation is 60 foot of our module plus 2 on either side gives us 64. We've got 80 along here plus 2 on each side gives us 84. And then over here we have 44, which is 20 plus 2 2s, offsets, which is 44. And then we're going from a corner to a corner, which is exactly the same as the module, so we get 20. So this all looks pretty good. Now I'm thinking we need to kind of dimension this footer that's in here. So I'll add a dimension here. I'll try to catch the top edge of this one now and the bottom. I was using my tab key. Now I'm only going to dimension one of them because they're all typical. We're going to assume, because I'm not saying anything different, that that is on the very center of that the 2 tick marks of the grid line. And so they're just duplicated over every 20 feet of the same size. The only other thing that's really missing from this, there's probably some dimensions of the size of the wall. Doesn't really have to be on this drawing, but we can try to put it on. So get that 1 foot. This is a little, that might be the best way to do that, to show that dimension. We could also think about trying to dimension the width of the footer. These are things that are actually shown in other views also, so this just may be turn out to be more than we need in this view. But I just want to show you some of those techniques for making those dimensions. Okay, so I'll hit zoom extent to get back to the full thing and full view, and then deactivate the view. And the next thing we'll do is look at dimensioning the first floor plan.